seriousness and equanimity again to each and every one of you. May you recognize the divine essence of your existence, and with the motivation and the intent to arrive at the highest potential of that divine essence for the benefit of all sentient beings. So this is what I was just thinking. And even though it appears as that we are separate, but in essence, we have never been separated. Again, last night, I heard the Brahmacharya Raptan speaking to me. As I breathe in the essence of Brahma, as I breathe out the essence of Brahma, there is no breathing in, there is no breathing out. There is no breather of breathing in and breathing out. There is only the essence of Brahma. Recognize, recognize. Brahma, Buddha, doesn't matter. Then I thought, do you connect to your essence, your divine life force? We breathe in and we breathe out. We don't think too much about it. But now everyone is thinking about, do I have a normal breath? Do I have a short breath? Can I breathe? Will it continue? Will it stop? Does it need to be aided in some way? Will the apparatuses be there to aid my breathing if I should be or succumb to this particular virus? So now we don't take the breath for granted. I hope you don't take your breath for granted. Going back again to the Upanishads, I don't find the chapter, but you heard the story from myself and I'm sure from others. The debate between the body and the breath and the mind, and the body exclaiming, I am most important. Without me, how would you go about? How would you go on your Sunday drive this evening or afternoon if you should choose to do so? As I briefly overheard you speaking. So the body said, therefore, I am supreme and you should worship me. Well, we do live in cultures, not just here in the US. We do live in cultures where the body is exclaimed to be supreme. And all of the ways of body beautiful to elevate it to its superiority. So perhaps the body does sit very nicely in its position. But then the mind says, wait a minute, how might you go about if you don't have someone to direct you? Therefore, without me, how would you know what to do and when to do and where and how? And went on to expound its intellectual powers of the mind. And we also know that we live in a culture of ideas where we're constantly bombarded with and told, maybe from the time of birth through conditionality, of what we should think, how we should think, when we should think, and so forth. And that the mind says, you must think according to me, to my mandate, to my manuscript. And therefore, I am the most important, and I should sit in the main seat and be worshipped. And the breath just kept quiet and stopped. I always think about this. The breath kept quiet and stopped. So I was sitting in front of the Buddha practicing first yogas and then shine or shamatha. And I wondered, what was the Buddha thinking, or what did the Buddha first teach? And one of the first things the Buddha taught, a teacher, was the importance of breath, because the breath is our life force. And the mind and the body understood quite quickly that if the breath should stop and be quiet and is no more, nor shall they be, their existence will cease and wither away. So sitting in front of the Buddha and looking and being aware of my breath coming in and my breath coming out. But it wasn't just the breath that you should connect to. Who is breathing? How am I breathing? Yes, we all have some rudimentary understanding of the biological, physiological process of how breath, diaphragm, lungs, etc. But do we really connect with who is the breather? When I was reading from the Upanishads, maybe not making it clear, who is it that is prompting that breath to come in? And who is it that is prompting that breath to flow out? What is that divine essence that sort of exacts that order? Now I breathe in, and now I breathe out. But as I sat and listened to the Buddha, who sits in silence and seemingly doesn't say anything, and then I thought, the Buddha doesn't say anything, but only looks with a countenance of harmony and peace and serenity as an example of how we should look to that quality within ourselves. So then I thought, that is the profoundness of the Buddha. Without saying anything whatsoever, instructs us to look within and connect to that divine essence, to that breather, to what is breathed and the experience of breathing in and out. But these are but three manifestations of that supreme supra-conscious essence. So even still at this moment and practicing late last night, to feel the essence of the life force coursing through this, what is called the body. Then I was reminded of this. I told you my hero is Baryshnikov and many other, Einstein and Freud, Planck and Bohr, etc. And I thought how all of these great minds and great individuals have passed, and the age at which they passed, and perhaps why. Well, as it says, all things are temporary. That which comes into being will pass away. It will dwell for a moment and then cease to be. So I was standing in the living room and I merely held up my hand and I asked my life force, how long shall you continue? How long shall you be? When will come your time to gracefully, I hope, depart from here, from this temporary plane of existence? And I said, give me X amount of numbers, which I won't repeat. And then I still try to feel the course of the life force flowing through me. So then I thought of you to ask, how is your life force? And there's ways that we can sort of examine the quality and the strength of the life force, something we can talk about later. So this morning, take a moment. Recognize this divine essence, this life force, this mystery, undescribable but ever present. How is your life force this morning? Are you aware of the one who is aware without the conceptualization of that aspect, but merely existing in the moment of its presence? Your consciousness, not just the consciousness that perceives what is outside in terms of the sensory gates that apprehend the illusion of what we call our reality. But when examined in great depth, it falls apart into spatiality, luminosity, in a temporal, momentary existence. But that's us too. But that's only in a relative sense. Then continue to ponder and read and think and sit. How many times in this cyclical existence has this entity manifesting on this continuum in this moment of time and space? How many times before had this come? How long will it exist? When will it depart? How shall it re-manifest again as that journey continues? So we have been on a long journey. As it said, I was reading last week, that the Buddhism is the undertaking of a journey, perhaps into the mystery of the unknown of our own divine essence, which can be known, but beyond our thinking and conceptualization. And thus we practice and study and integrate. Oh, I just saw Master Z, the lone colorful character, standing on seemingly a two-dimensional orange and white, with the head tilted a little bit to the right, just standing there. And I remember this figure. Oh, that's like me, standing there, just waiting. What shall I be, Master Z? As I looked at your painting of the person standing, I thought of me. Anyway, didn't mean to digress, but it's sometimes these images, they just pop into my head. And so as I was doing my prostrations outside today and making offering to the Buddha, and then I thought, do they recognize their essence? Or they're just going along mimicking the parrot me? But is there a real connection to your existence that you appreciate? That, as it says, just as I read coming in, Kum Salam Shalom, the preciousness of the human birth, how fortunate we are. And then to go back and to connect a thought. Yes, we are not seemingly together, but we are more together than we were before. Don't you think you should laugh and smile at the absurdity? I won't play it for you, but I may have to. We're all zooming around. But we've been zooming around for eons and eons, trying to make a connection. Too much time on my hands. Just zooming around. Everyone now. And even we're looking at how can we become more efficient in zooming around. More money is being made off of zooming around. You have to laugh at it. And I also thought last night, don't be so serious. Don't take it even so serious. As Lama Kaisi would say, bluntly put, at this very moment, not one of us are getting any younger. And we're all proceeding toward, hopefully, what is a graceful exit, our death. Why not enjoy the journey with some humor? Granted, there will be ups and downs and trials and tribulations, etc. But I think sometimes, as it says, as I did yesterday, you must look at the beauty of the small purple flowers and the little white dome and how they sway. And in that brief moment, rest, stay, don't run away, be present and connect to the essence that is never that far away. So I hope you have these type of revelations. And in one respect, going back to this disconnect, but not really. We have always been connected, right? Even sitting here and as again, projecting or imagining or really feeling, I don't know how many people are watching upon this screen today, but may I be connected to each and every one of them in some way. I looked at some YouTube, various teachers. No, I don't have some fancy seat and I don't have the good lighting. I don't have the union people to come in and make the mics and stuff like that. Which then I thought, is that what you really want? And I said, no, I'd rather sit in this little wooded hermitage. So I would say to you, I welcome you to the small hermitage of Tutan Rinpoche, who is lazy, trying to practice in my own foolery. Or perhaps I merely share the thoughts of my insanity, but not insane. If one accepts, as I said, I merely accept the conditionality of my karma that is unfolding with joyous destiny. So we are all connected because it is quite relative, isn't it? All relative. If I think that I'm going to take you on a journey perhaps today, too much reading, too much thinking. But if you think about it, this medium that, like some sci-fi movie from Star Trek, that my molecules, my quantum signature and wave and flux and energy patterns are being transported from where I'm sit through this device, which I'm not even sure where the lens is, but I'm being transported to each and every one of you as you are now being transported to me. But I'm not thinking of your pictures that I see. Feel their presence, ever connected, moving through space and time, each and every molecule, quantum wave. We are never separated. The moment we think, there we are, so shall we be. As I was reading last night, listening late at night to quantum wave and quantum flux, now I can remember at the subatomic level, a quantum wave and the makeup of an atom, the neutrons, the electrons moving around in the same way we visualize the energy of the heart space. And then neutrons and protons. And when you view it, it is not there. But when you do not view it, it is there. A reality that seems to be, that is really not, but that is. How can you define what you see? So here we are, connected through this medium of space and time and the technology, which we really have no idea of actually how it works. Even plugging in, I've always been fascinated. I did some things that were really quite stupid when I was young, putting live wires into a socket with a magnet on the end and blowing out all the fuses in the building because I wanted to see what would happen to the magnet. And who knows? Good thing I didn't touch it. At least I was smart enough not to do that. But how does this charge of what we call electricity, how does it pass through from the cord in the wall to that brown cord to what I plug into it, and all of a sudden the lights come on? It's still a mystery. Like one philosopher said, I don't understand electricity, but I can turn on the light, and if I have some device that's I'm cooking, I can cook with this electricity. So he said, the absurdity is that the electricity I cook my food with will also cook me. And everyone, no matter what you believe or don't believe, will be affected by these various factors. One being electricity, and the other, obviously, this medium in which we're speaking, because without that basic component of whatever it is, we would not be able to do this. So maybe open your perceptual frame. We are not disconnected. In fact, we are more connected and more attentive now than we were before, which is the absurdity of it. In the physical space where we all could gather, we chose not to gather, but in a limited way. And now we cannot gather in that space, or we are told that it would not be the best thing to do. And therefore, being not able to be in the space, we have chosen a different way to gather in this space. So I applaud and thank you for that. So the other thing I had in mind today is one, take a breath in, breathing out, breathe in, breathe out. And in the 7-point position of Varatana, sit for a moment, rest your mind. Or as we said earlier, releasing in your body, releasing in your breath, releasing in your heart, your mind, and your spirit. Appreciate, have reverence, so to speak, reverence that you pay to yourself. It's as though the lower aspect recognizes the higher aspect, but they are one and the same and no difference in name, only difference in name. That you pay homage to the divine essence that's within you at this moment. And in paying homage to that essence, you also respect the essence of others. In one way, looking out in the front, I didn't get to do it, but I thought about it. I wanted to see what weeds had grown back from last week that I did not extract the roots from the earth. And if I do not go to the root or the heart of the matter, then the weed will always come back. It is seemingly, and it is still continuing, the lack of respect, the lack of cooperation, the lack of connectedness in some aspects, in some quarters, but in an overwhelming, miraculous way, which we're doing now, the desire to connect, the desire to reach out, to have a good heart, to have goodwill toward others. So as you rest a moment and allow the extraneous aspects of disturbances, or as my friend said, the kleshas that arise from the primordial ground, unknown, and of their purity within, just let them fall away and be present. Then I thought to ask you last night, I would ask you today, what have you done from the moment you woke up to this moment now, what you're doing, to foster an enlightened individual, an enlightened household, an enlightened community, an enlightened nation, an enlightened society, enlightened planet? What did you do? As I said yesterday, I believe, to one of my classes, one of my teachers, Monsieur Ducroux, would ask his students as his teacher student asked me, what have you done for your art today? So what have you done to bring about enlightened society? Did you have a thought arising from bodhicitta? Perhaps you called someone, or you thought of someone, or you visited someone. And you also were kind to yourself, kind thoughts to others. And hopefully you smiled or laughed in some way and appreciating that you got out of bed this morning and you could move about and you could take a shower and you could eat and go to the refrigerator and look out your window and rub your dog and your cat and feed your fish, perhaps, I don't know. Not maybe thinking there's others who had nowhere to go. They had no one to comfort them, no one to speak to them. They had no one to fix breakfast for them, perhaps. Maybe they didn't even have breakfast. And I'm not talking about the adults. These were the innocent children. So what did we think? What did you do today? I made it my purpose. When I put my feet, I will practice loving kindness and compassion more so today than I did yesterday. I will let go of my small-minded, closed, bickering, complaining mind. With a good heart and openness to think of others who are in much more difficult situations than myself. So again, what did you do today? Yes, we can say that you're engaging in something right at this moment with the motivation and the intent to do so for the benefit of others. We must go beyond that. Who will I call today? I am already thinking. Who must I say hello today? Because perhaps tomorrow I will have gone away, or they will have gone away. And thus the opportunity to express caring and love and kindness and compassion will have been lost. Don't lose the essence of the day. Why take, as I was about to say, we're so serious, all about self-cherishing, self-centeredness, as one of my good friend, I'm always saying I. She says like that, I. It's okay to say I, but to have an understanding with a certain amusement of how the I asserts itself to be so important, when in essence, it's only relative, existing as a component of a totality. So going back to that totality, do you recognize and feel the presence of your life force? So doing yogas, the yogas, which I'll teach at some point, that reveal the life force, the energy that manifests within this corporal, temporal vessel. But it is a treasure because we have an opportunity to be in the process of evolution, that you are abreast to the evolving moment, that we are and we are always in the moment of evolution, but now the lens of that dynamic is been focused through this particular crisis, which has always been there, but now we're looking very closely at how we live our lives, how the living of our life has changed, and perhaps what is important in this life at this moment. So I hope your awareness is expanding beyond the small limitation of this physical body at this small point in time, that we see a much larger, grander opening, that you are starting to explore what is the evolution of consciousness? How does one bring about an enlightened society? What am I doing as an individual to promote this? Take a breath in again. Breathe out in the 7-point position of Eritana. Rest for a moment. When I was in Bhutan at the monastery, Chotrupling, a couple of years ago, again, I told you the Zen master asked us, what is important to me? So I say, what is important to me? Because I'm asking that question of me. What is important to me? But I don't give an answer straight away. It's important to me to sit here and merely try to share with you, what is it am I doing? What is my experience? What have I heard from all these great teachers as I reflect upon now how fortunate? What is important to me? I want to plant that seed in your mind so you will ask it again and again, that you don't leave it behind, that you will ask, what is important to me? And perhaps in some mystery, there will be a discovery of what is important to me. And maybe at some unknown moment, from the shadows of your own mind, from perhaps the elevated heights of your consciousness, which you recognize, that it will come to you. What is important? And when it does, when that koan seemingly is answered from some unknown space, that you don't grasp upon it and think, oh, now I see it face to face, but you will ask even deeper of that, what is important? Until, like the root of the weeds of all which I did not extract from the ground, that you will go deeper and deeper until you get to your own primordial ground. And having arrived at that space, the weeds of illusions and deceptions, obscurations, hindrances, and defilements, etc., will be vanquished. They will not grow anymore, because the seed that brings them forth will have been eradicated, gone away, liberated. So I was going to read, I do a little bit of reading, but I've been thinking about this. How is this going about? What are we doing? Do you understand? Not from me. I am trying to understand. Do you question yourself? Again, what is important? That you really allow yourself to have an inner connection that is arising, as we said, from faith, from devotion, from commitment, from confidence, from decision, deciding, and then stability as you practice. So all of these things, just merely trying to decode what you might find in the teachings of the Tantra, the teachings of the sutras, the commentaries of the sastras, etc. There's so much. How can one unravel it? So again, sitting last night and just connecting as the light radiates out as an offering, as a blessing, it also is gathering back the essence, to gather the essence of the enlightened knowledge and wisdom and qualities of all of the Buddhas of the past, present, and future. May you descend upon me, reside within the essence of my heart, and be revealed in some fashion that perhaps will be made to understand. So again, I'm merely unraveling my own thoughts. So excuse me if I ramble on. I hope it makes some sense. I was looking through the text to see what practice we should do today, and I always look to see how many of those teachers' faces that I have actually met, or how many that even less than, 6 degrees of whatever, of bacon, whatever his name is, 1 degree or directly, I have met face to face most of these individuals somehow. But Kala Rinpoche, as I told you the story at some point, and this is why we'll continue to do this practice today. Kala Rinpoche, great master. You can Google K-A-L-U, Kala Rinpoche. But his students wanted to know what his practice was, as I've told you before. And they thought, oh, he must have some very high tantric deity, something so profound that nobody even knows about. And he spent, in his latter years, he spent a lot of time just being in his bed, not of the best of health, at least just his physical body. But he merely said, my practice is Chenrezig. And it was though as the students were disappointed, is that that was not profound enough. Not profound enough to have genuine loving kindness for self and others, for others and self and for others. How could that not be profound? Look at the degree of loving kindness and compassion and caring that has manifested globally, spontaneously. So how could loving kindness and compassion not be profound? And Chenrezig, Druknarandro, is the essence of the enlightened quality of loving kindness and compassion of all enlightened beings, of all of the Buddhas of past, present, and future. I looked at two, looking at seated Chenrezig and a standing Chenrezig, seemingly inactive, and the other one seemingly dynamic, but they're both one and the same. And I thought Druknarandro for this time is so wonderful, standing ever present, waiting to intervene, always there to provide, to help, to guide, to bless, to liberate. to look over, to alleviate, druk. So when Kala Rinpoche said, my practice is uh, Chenrezig, then it made me think again what practice we should do today, which we'll do to druk. But again, if I could tell you a little story, can I tell you a little story? You can go, no, 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 but I'm going to tell you anyway. Maybe around 1968, 1969, most of you were babies or not even conceived of or thought of. But somehow, in my continued pursuit of what I'm still trying to unravel, I came across a book called The Dawn of the Eastern Light. And The Dawn of the Eastern Light was written by a pioneer in the Tibetan Buddhist tradition of the Kagyu tradition, which at that time I thought nothing of as her name happened to be Dr. Janice Willis, a professor out of Wesleyan University, which is located in Middletown, Connecticut, which I have been to and actually have met her. She was one of the, least that I know, one of the first women of color who had entered into the Tibetan Buddhism with great wisdom and knowledge and understanding and ability to interpret it, and put out one of the first books that I came across that was comprehensible in terms of how to practice. And one of the first practices that I gleaned from that text was the practice of Chenrezig, Om Mani Padme Hum. And I started to recite Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. And it also pointed out that in order to really have the blessings and the authority to engage in the practice, to receive, to accomplish, and to experience, that one needed a transmission. So then I sought out, what is a transmission? And I would ride the bus from Manhattan to Freehold Acres, New Jersey, where Yeshe Wangel, one of the first Tibetan Buddhist Gumpas located in America on the East Coast, who was the teacher to many of the great scholars that we have today. Thurman, I think, was one of his students. I can't think of the other interpreter who has written many books. But anyway, I was able to meet with Geshe Wangel. And in the hallway, I got up enough courage to ask him if he would give me the oral transmission of this mantra Om Mani Padme Hum, which he was quite pleased that I was asking, and he readily gave. And I started doing Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. And I would say, regularly, religiously, and just to see, what was it about? But that leads me back into what I was thinking this morning also. And I was talking to, I believe, maybe Dechen, trying to recall. I noticed something began to happen. There was a place that I was, I'm going to say probably dark, negative, sullen, thrashing about, even though I was doing much meditation, had met many teachers and practice even before any of the Tibetan Buddhism in Zen, in the martial arts, etc. But somehow I also was reading another book, Theoretical Physics, talking about what I just mentioned before: protons, neutrons, electrons, quantum flux, quantum wave, particles, and light, etc. And I had been doing Tai Chi for many years also, and I started thinking about the balance of a quantum wave in a temporal context. A positive and a negative, which I saw again last night. I'm not sure, the positive neutron, I don't know if there's a negative, not neutron, but the proton and neutron, yeah. I'm not sure, I still have to read more to clarify it. But the crux of what I'm trying to say is that loving kindness and compassion and love and joy. We hear all of these words and teachings on all of these things. And it has been put forth for millennium. And a few gather, but most don't. Why? I asked why. Because we haven't gone to the root. And I remember many years ago, as I said, 68, 69, whenever, reading this text by Janice Willis, is that if one does not go to the root of what is arising that is merely a reflection or symptomatic of a deeper cause, then the causality or that phenomena will continue to occur. So then I thought, what is it that must change? It is not just my thinking, it is the fuel that puts forth my thinking. That takes us back to, what is your life force at this moment? What is your feeling at this moment? Not your thinking, your feeling. When someone says, I feel so alive, I am passionate to engage in life. And then there's others who just say, I feel like I'm dragging my body through space day to day. Like when I used to watch a cat or a dog lying around, seemingly interactive, and I would think, I am like that cat and dog, just lying around, waiting for the end. But I said, no, it has to be more than that. And probably from that investigation, from that observation, I began to connect to this primary force, how it surges through this vessel and the strength of it and the passion of it and the evolution of it and the desire to create and to be of service to others with kindness and compassion, which hopefully I like to fool myself, is that what I'm still trying to do. That's why I'm babbling on and talking to you. The hope to say, if nothing more, do not get caught up in another belief system, because this is just another belief system. It's just another vehicle. So whatever vehicle you choose, do not become shackled by the thought conceptual framework, but understand it as a vehicle to transform, to transcend. Again, as I said last night, sit like yogi, only yogic skirt, only gumtuk, nothing else, free, beyond conceptuality. But that doesn't mean you throw it away. Now, from talking to my friend, if a bird wishes to fly, it must have two wings. The wing of didactic intellectual understanding and the wing of direct experience. Those two must correlate together. We must listen to the conceptual base of the Dharma and ingest it into our bones. But then there must be a practical approach that reveals the experience of what those concepts are about. Again, going back to Lama Kazi Rinpoche, and he used the analogy of sugar. And we can now talk about what are the components of sugar and how is sugar constructed from its molecular context. And then when that whole dissertation is finished, then perhaps the presenter says to you, now, do you understand and know the taste of sugar? And maybe there would be a blank look and you would just, yeah, no, not really. And then you would try to talk and talk and talk, and the instructor says, quiet, open your mouth. A spoonful of sugar in, and then, whoa, can I have some more? And we have been eating the sugar all our life because we had the experience of it, not some intellectual understanding of it, even though we know its makeup. Then I thought about, all of you can ride a bike, more than likely. And someone comes and explains to you how to put the bike together. They explain to you how to ride the bike, how to steer the bike, and they give you the bike and they say, please take off. And the first thing you do is fall on your face and hurt yourself. You go, wait a minute, I knew everything about the bike. Why did I fall down? Because you haven't learned through direct experience. That brings us back to practice. That brings me back to Kala Rinpoche, Geshe Wangyal, and the Janice Willis, who wrote this book called The Light of the Eastern Dawn. And what I was trying to get to is, what is it that orients the life force? How do we perceive? How do we think? How do we engage in what we call our reality? Inwardly or outwardly or falsely? If the fuel in its most primary state is contaminated or pure, then everything will flow in those two directions, either virtuous or non-virtuous, or auspicious or inauspicious, or even more primal at that quantum level of subatomic level, a positive or a negative manifestation of the energetic charge or quantum wave that moves through this energy pattern in space. That brings us back to Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. Om Mani Padme Hum Ri has an amplitude, it has a velocity, it has a frequency. Again, late last night going through quantum mechanics and quantum physics. So then I said, Om Mani Padme Hum Ri, which I again discovered back in the early 70s, has those three aspects. And we were told, by intoning this particular mantra, or the use of mantra and the sound and the science of sound, is that we have two oscillating, that's the other, the oscillation. But that Om Mani Padme Hum Ri is the universal oscillation and frequency and amplitude and velocity of loving kindness and compassion itself, permeating the totality of space and time. This entity also has that capacity, but is sort of out of phase, temporal phase. And by constantly reciting Om Mani Padme Hum Ri, 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 they line up. I can tell you this at that very moment. From years, Om Mani Padme Hum Ri. I don't even have to say out loud, I did it so many. And when I first absorbed Om Mani Padme Hum Ri, then I thought I must do every mantra like this. But Om Mani Padme Hum Ri, I think, saved my life, living in New York City, running around, being crazy, being a student of Lama Kaiser Rinpoche. He affected, at least me, I'm sure. And slowly I could see, if you are negative in your energy patterns, then therefore everything else will flow with that negativity. You can talk and talk, but not until you change at the deeper level, there's not going to be any real change. Those who work in social therapies and in groups and psychiatry and stuff, you can give the pill, you can give the talk, but not until the most basic component of our life force changes is there change. If I am completely off my rocker, which I know I am, you can come back and tell me that doesn't fly, but I won't believe you, because I have direct experience of this own individual, from negative to trying to be positive, from being closed to trying to be open, for having this many, many, many years, changing what is the energy pattern. Why do the great bodhisattvas remain but do not suffer? Because they have rooted out the causality of that which brings about suffering, ignorance, desire, and anger, and so forth. If the seed is not there, then the fruit will not bear. But within us, the seeds of conditionality is deeply rooted. And it's amazing how little manure is needed for it to flourish. How quickly we express our anger, our desire, our ignorance. It's like not even time lapse. You know, the time lapse, it grows. And for us, someone can say something in an instant, and the next instant we're in a raging fire with denial, or whatever it may be. So this Om Mani Padme Hum Ri, which I did for many years and continue to do so, is to align my own vibrational existence with the flux of that harmonics. So the harmonics line up. You'll see that you recite the mantra Om Mani Padme, and Om, it creates a certain resonance in the body. And as that resonance and that frequency and that wave begins to permeate through every subatomic particle of my existence, then there's an alignment. That's the alignment that has to occur. And that begins to occur even if you're in the most dire situation, the most fearful situation. You'll find peace, harmony, happiness, acceptance, and loving kindness and compassion, as we read the other day, will spontaneously come forth because it's already there. I hope this makes some sense, is that we must put the two together. You must hear these concepts, but then you must practice. And not practice with the continued crutch of, I don't understand. I don't feel connected. I don't know what I'm doing. I. Getting back to Lama Kazi Rinpoche. I didn't ask you to reinforce the illusionary structure of your own deceptiveness of an I. I asked you to practice because he knew the more he talked, the less we would understand, because we would hinge and grab onto the words and only create more chains of trying to understand that fostered more confusion and took us further away from the directness of an experience of the existence of our primordial life force. So again, you sit on your seat and you practice. And the more confused you become, you should use that as a blessing. I'm so confused. Okay, now I must practice. As opposed to backing away. Saying I am lost. I don't know what to do. Or I don't want to do. Or half stepping in. Or I will try to do. But it's not really for me. I'm looking for something else. We're always looking for something else. You know, we always want, not being inappropriate, I will say, we want either the negative to come and save us, or fearing the positive may rescue us, or vice versa. We want the magic bullet. The only magic bullet is the one that you have. A quick diversion once again, as I said, bullet, magic bullet, about practice. I won't go into too much detail, but on my altar, I actually have a bullet. I have a bullet. And that bullet was given to me because one night, as I left the old Gumper, I went to a particular individual and I said, "Excuse me," rolled down the window, "Are you okay? Can I help you in some way?" And we talked for a bit, and then I went away. Sometime years later, the individual approached me once again and gave me that bullet. And what he said to me was, "I want to give this to you because that night you saved my life. Because that bullet I was going to put in my head. But our conversation somehow affected me, changed me, and I rethought the life that is surging through me that is worth living." And I look at that bullet and remember that, at least for that moment, whatever was said, whatever came through, altered the shape in the course of an individual. And I look at that bullet on a daily basis and remember how fortunate, and I'm glad I was there, placed there by the hand of the divine. So many, many stories were going through my head. I'm merely talking to say, be inspired, please appreciate. Don't be lost. Kick out the crutch of confusion and excuses. What did you do today to prepare yourself? In what way will you make it a better society for yourself and for others? When will you drop the falsity of ego and I and importance and cherishing and clinging and grasping? When? What are you looking for? There is no big bang in the sky that's going to occur. Huan, the only peace that you will encounter and happiness is that which you brought to your seat this morning. Where else do you think it might be? Look around. Look what's happening. All of the happiness in which we have been distracted from the essence of ourselves has been curtailed. I don't know how many domestic disturbances, how many children now are not eating, how many small altercations that have arrived at beating, the disappointment and the fertility and all of the other things that have occurred because we feel and look at what has been taken away from me. But maybe we should look at what has been given to us, an opportunity to look within, to come face to face with a recognition of what is possible, what I might be. I think that is fantastic that we can slow down and really examine Sri Aurobindo. Is it life divine? It is life divine in all of its various aspects. So please, for a moment, let's just sit in appreciation, not sit in the contemplation of complaining about what cannot be. Take a breath in. Breathe out. Thumbs lightly touching. Tongue, roof of the mouth. The lips pressed gently together and the teeth are parted with a straight back. Let the eyes glance down. Again, as I was sitting in front of the Buddha, first doing Shine and then Latong, Shamatha Vipassana, merely to be in the presence of awareness, to be aware as you breathe in, to be aware as you breathe out, mindful as you breathe in, mindful as you breathe out. Letting go of worry, of fear. Letting go of the falsity of fabricated hope and fear. Connect to the peace, serenity, and harmony. Connect to the essence divine that is not just confined in the smallness of a moment, but that is ever present within and without beginning, without end. It does not rise or fall. Rest. Be present. In, breathe, rest your mind. And as you sit, being aware, what arises, what dwells, what ceases, what is coming and staying and going, like clouds in the sky that do not alter or affect that space. Doko Urban say, without space, where would we exist, at least in this dimension? All arising, dwelling, and ceasing within this space, not the space of a conceptuality, but the primordial ground of its own essence. Open your heart. Let go of your confusion. Why run that tape over and over? Again, I hear Lama Kazi say, one comes to this due to karma display, the fruition of the past meritorious actions and non-meritorious actions have arrived. Look at where you are and appreciate. Do not be afraid to have a good heart, which is there, to have goodwill for others and self, which is there. And as you release the inner shackles, cannot you feel, not just see, but feel the essence as it courses through and around, embracing. It is not something newly found. It has always been upon which you stand, the solid ground, the primordial essence arising in spontaneity, reflected in luminosity of clarity. You breathe in and you breathe out, resting in your own divine essence, your primordial ground. Recognize. Not until you have a taste of the sugar do you know directly, no matter how much it may be spoken of. Not until you taste will you believe, will you know that it courses through me. I am not separate from that which is called divine. And that which is called divine, it is my life force. It is the essence. Recognize. This very moment, awaken. Let go of your thinking and be present. Only standing knee deep, we still can smell the manure. But perhaps I can learn by transforming and transcending to accept whatever is unfolding. With a heart of acceptance arising from compassion, love, kindness. Breathing in, breathing out. Now just look out for a moment through the sensory gates, eyes and nose and ears and mouth and body, and awareness itself, like all of the gates open, and one sees with a clarity, maybe only a brief moment. Know that that clarity is there. And even if you state, I am confused, I don't understand, why is he talking so much? I just want to make some prayers. But why do that when one is standing on faulty ground? The faulty ground of our own deception, our own fear, our own illusions. Then our Buddha masters, you must go deeper. Deeper into the recesses and the darkness and the shadows of what you fear. Reveal it to yourself, but with openness. Let go of judgment. always judging yourself and others. Just being present in the moment, I let go. And from that primordial ground of presentness, as Ramadaji said to us, the essence of the deity of purity already lies within you. You are the pure being. But we have been sold the goods and we have bought them through conditionality that we are impure and we must spend our time trying to make ourselves pure. But how can that which believe itself to be impure create purity? Paraphrasing Einstein. The mind that it is created from relativity, a certain condition cannot be the same condition of mind that will bring about a solution. There has to be a transformation. Therefore, we need a methodology. And I will go back to the refrain that methodology is the alignment at a molecular, subatomic quantum level, changing the flux of energy patterns, that the energy patterns themselves fall into balance. This is how I talk to me. Whether it makes some sense to you or not, I don't know. You are the one that must decide. When it is pointed out by the master, I am not calling myself that, so please don't be misled. Real master. When Dulorami say point out, it is pointed out. You have to ingest. Then you must decide. It is pointed out, you must recognize, and what you have recognized, you must decide. Is it this or is it that? Is there something other than what is being presented? Is there another reality of being, another way to come to a greater understanding than this present moment as I perceive or see? Having you done that, then you decide on one thing. This is it. Vijay had us do this many, many times. This is it. Then, how to practice? Then comes confidence. One knows the taste of sugar. One knows how to swim. One knows how to ride the bike. Confidence. And just like with the bike, you become stable. Stability. You're not wishy-washy. Is it this? Is it that? Should I not? Should I do? I don't know. I'm not sure. Blah, blah, yada, yada, yada. This is it. You have to make up your mind. Breathe in again. Have you made up your mind? And if not, then no, you have not. But that again is a revelation. Continue to investigate. Continue to be skeptical. Continue to delve and deconstruct, decomposition of the concepts of the experience. But at some time, at some point, you have to let go. So we will get to practice, but you keep leading me down the rabbit hole and see if I can find it. It is pointed out. It is recognized. It is investigated. It is decided upon. You make a decision. Is this it or is it not? Then confidence, practice, then stability. But it has to come at some point. It has to arrive from taking refuge. So the reason I actually, Pamela, somehow, after many, many years, I have a text here. It says Sonam T. Kazi, 2/10/93, in which I was still in contact with my teacher at the time he died. But I actually have a signed text of the text that he wrote based on Kunsalama Shalom. If you want to know what the T stands for, which I investigated, which he was not happy with me, I said, Lama Kaiser, what does the T stand for? And I go, does it stand for Tupgo? Who told you that? He said to me, I researched and found that the T stands for Tupgo. Sonam Tupgo Kazi. So anyway, taking refuge. And I'm going to skip a little bit. So taking refuge starts with, in general, it is taking refuge that opens the door of all dharmas. And it is faith, faith that opens the door of taking refuge. Therefore, before taking refuge, it is important to develop firm faith in one's mind. So maybe all of my just talking is to ask that question, do you have faith? And going back to Lama Kazi again, he says, this faith cannot be necessarily contrived. Somehow there's a knowingness, a connectedness. When you meet the teacher, when you see and hear, something arises from your interior primordial aspect that is already within you, that has developed over eons of existence. It comes to fruition in that moment. That's why it says, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear, and vice versa, the ripening of karma. But it does require this aspect of faith. And there's 1, 2, 3 types of faith, which I want to go through. Faith. So, and we've all done this, visiting places such as temples, where there are many objects representing the Buddha's body, speech, and mind, meeting lamas, spiritual teachers, and noble persons, or learning of their virtues and biographies. Such circumstances can instantly generate the awe-inspired thought, how great is their mercy. That faith, or the faith thus developed, is called faith generated by attraction. So when you hear His Holiness the Dalai Lama, listen, as soon as you hear someone was made a comment about some dialogue in a movie I was watching, and it says, oh, you're like the feminine aspect of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. And I just laughed because what was said was quite wise. And it had to do with being present and accepting without judgment, being present and accepting without judgment from an open heart of kindness. And so I thought about that, and that's why I went to the section, faith by attraction. I want you to again pause for a moment and try to remember how many times, maybe serendipitously, you have gone someplace and you heard about, oh, someone said about the Buddha, about the holiness of that, or you saw a tanka, or you saw a statue, or something awakened you in that moment of this faith by attraction. That's one. Then faith generated by desire. The faith developed out of one's desire to be free from the suffering and so on of the larger or the lower regions of samsara on hearing of such suffering. The faith developed out of one's, so just one moment. So I, again, watching Blue Planet and watching this, and when I watch the animal realm, sometimes I have to turn it off because it is brutal. Not that, it's not personal, it's about survival. It's about one animal eating the next one, or hunting in packs to take down a buffalo, or so forth and so on. Whales just scooping up masses of sentient beings and eating them. And I go, okay, that's enough. I best practice. I don't want to be in the animal realm again, but I must practice. So for that suffering. So the faith developed out of one's desire to obtain pleasure of the upper realm. So everybody wants, okay, I want to have easy life. I want to have good life. I want to have everything that needed to bring pleasure in this life. So we have this type of faith that comes from that type of desire. But the faith that we want to have is the faith that will come from the desire of being free of what we call samsara, or of nirvana, of hearing of such pleasures, so that the faith developed out of one's desire to earn merit on hearing of the benefit of doing so. So we know, oh, if I practice this, then I can find this liberation from what is called samsara, my own creation. The faith developed out of one's desire to abandon non-virtuous actions. Now, actually, Lama Kaisi would say he put to develop faith out of sinful acts on seeing the harm created by such acts. These type of faiths are called, so the faith generated by desire. But also it says in some texts, this is the eon of fearlessness. We are fearless of what arises out of our misdirected faith that brings about ignorance and desire and anger, as he has said. But this type of faith of desire is the desire to be free of samsara for the benefit of others and to be instrumental and encouraging others to do so. The last one, upon knowing the unique virtues and blessings of the rare and supreme three jewels, a conviction will be born from one's, or from the core, again, going back from the core, from the ground. There cannot be any true change until we have descended and gone to the root of one's heart that will make one recognize the three jewels as the unfailing protector of all times. And under all circumstances, even I say to Guru Rinpoche, I have no one else to turn to you. Even during these difficult times, I will depend on you, good, bad, or indifferent. Many nights I do this. So irrespectively of happiness, misery, illness, pain, whether one is going to die or live, whatever may happen, one will surrender. Now, again, we don't like this word, so surrender, to surrender to the divine essence. One will surrender only to the unfailing protection of the Buddha, Dharma, Sangha, depending on them and no others, with confidence. Now, this is a different type of hope, with confidence and hope. But Rinpoche said, we should know it means conviction. Sin, as I stated earlier, means virtuous or non-virtuous actions. But the reason Lama Kaisi used these words, because he felt during that time, it would be more, we relate, as this culture, we relate to those words. Such a faith of complete surrendering is called faith generated out of conviction. Faith of complete surrendering draws blessings. If the mind is free from doubts, whatever you desire will be fulfilled. So I probably should stop with that. Whatever you desire will be fulfilled if one has faith. So we know, we spoke of faith. We spoke of conviction, and we spoke of devotion. Do you have faith? Not blind faith, as it said. Is there an inkling of the beginning of your faith without being able to discern it in a conceptuality, which is nothing more than the gold chain, lead chain, going around in circles? One abandons that model and ventures into a model that one is a mystery that cannot explain. But when one does, something miraculously happens and begins to blossom and develop in the same way the flower opens. So I probably have said way too much. If I have bored you, it is only from my own folly, because when you are in retreat, you talk to the walls, but the walls don't talk back. Or you sit in front of the Buddha, and the Buddha is always sitting there. I say, why don't you say something? The Buddha is always in silence. So I sit in silence with the Buddha and listen to what cannot be said, that must be felt deeply in the bones. Take a breath in. Breathing out. Those who wish to hear will listen, and those who do not wish to hear will act and fake as though they're listening. And for some, it will seep deeply in the crevices of their shadows and darkness and bring about the light. And for those who do not wish to listen, but only pretend to do so, will live in darkness, and the light will be obscured, and they will not see. But we all have the possibility. Rest your mind. And from that place of deep reservoir, surrendering within, the Dorje Simpa of your own self manifest to cleanse and purify, to let go of your doubt, maybe even to let go of a conceptual grasping. I need to understand and pick the meat from the bones. If I cannot do it, then I will not eat the meal, and therefore I will starve. I would rather have an inkling of faith and engage in it with taste. In doing so, I may be satisfied. I may find some comfort and be directed back to the peace and kindness of my own mind. So was it in Mebrea to Zaran Sedum Serum Guru Sada Dada Badramani Muzavandipo Samaya Sadua Rum Badu Samaya Mano Paraya Badu Zadusinova. Didumeboa, Zudogaya Meboa, Zugaya Meboa, Naradu Meboa, Sawazidi Mebrea to Zaranama Zudume, Sidamburu, Ahaho, Bhagavan, Sawadada, Badramani Muzavandipo Samaya Sadua, Badrazada Samaya, Manovalaya, Badrazadu, Didumeboa, Zudogaya Meboa, Zugaya Meboa. Anaradu Meboa, Zawazidi Mebrea to Zaranama Zudume, Sidamburu. Sawadada Badramani Muzavandipo Samaya Sadua, Badrazadu Samaya. Manobalaya Badrazadu Nenova, Didumeboa, Sudokaya Meboa, Sudokaya Meboa, Anaradu Meboa, Zawazidi Mebrea to Zaranama Zudume, Sidum Guru, Bhagavan. Saradada Dramani Muzavandipo Samaya Sadua, Badrazadu Samaya Mano. Badrazadu Nenova, Didumeboa, Sudokaya Meboa, Sudokaya Meboa, Anaradu Meboa, Zawazidi Mebrea to Zaranama Zudume. Sidum Guru, Bhagavan, Sawadada Badramani Muzavandipo Samaya Sadua. Badrazadu Samaya Manobalaya Badrazadu Nenova Didumeboa Sudokaya Meboa Subokaya Meboa Anaradu Meboa Zawazidi Mebrea Zaranama Saradada Badramani Muzavandipo Samaya Sadua Badrazadu Samaya Manobalaya Badrazadu Nenova Didumeboa Sudokaya Zubogaya Meboa. Anaradu Meboa, Zawazidi Mebrea de Zara, Sidum Guru, Sada Dada Gada Badramani Muzavandipo Mahasamaya Zadua, Badrazadu Samaya. Badrazadu Nenova, Didumeboa, Sudogaya Meboa, Sudogaya Meboa, Anaradu Meboa, Zawazidi Mebrea de Zara. Sidum Guru, Bhagavan, Sawadada Badramani Muzavandipo Samaya. Sadua, Samaya. So again, as I was in my broken way trying to say, is it altering or changing the quantum vibration at a subatomic level of the energy force, consciousness that permeates and animates this phenomena we call body, speech, and mind? So you've just engaged in the resonance of purity, the frequency of purity, the amplitude of purity. This is though, at least in my mind, at the subatomic level, the protons and the neurons and the electrons have aligned. They are in balance. If they were not in balance, then we would be in a continuous chaotic universe. But even it seemingly is chaotic, but there is such order in the chaos. You are sitting in the manifestation of that unity, that harmony, that order. So Lama Kazi would say these things to us in the early years, and we would roll our eyes and go, yeah, 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 yeah. And then sometimes it's just sort of like, bam. Especially as one arrives at a very delicate, fragile recognition of their own existence, it becomes even more precious. Oh, you young people, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, that I can see. You don't really appreciate it until you have the dream and the veil of shadows are pulled away and one recognizes the fragility. Then you appreciate, but do so now, where the moment of transformation and transcendence is in your hand. So Doji Sempa dissolves, which has never been separate, and becomes you, which you have always been. Now you wish everyone has the same recognition. Doji Sempa Okay, we're going to skip and want to go, go directly to 7-line prayer. Again, sake of time, too many thoughts, too much talking. I hope some of it has made some sense as I have jumped about in my randomness of constructs. So 7-line prayer. Have faith. Again, Yuji Nanzan, Bema Geza Dongola, Jazen Joji go journey, Bema June Setsura, Gudu Kando Mambu, Gegi to that Rugi, Ginger, to Guru, Bema City. Again, Yuji Nanzan, Bema Geza Dongola, Jazen Joji go journey, Bema June Setsura. Gudu Kando Mambu, Gegi to that Rugi. Angela Jesus, Guru Brahma City. Oh, again, Juji Nazan, Bema Geta, Dongola, Jazen Joji, Guru Nebema, June, Zuda, Guru Gando, Mabu, Gigi, Zuda, Jujela Jesus, Guru Brahma City. Maho, Jojo, Jogi, Gigi, Jojo, Giga, Jato lozo jewa jimbo nanga chendo doji doreme mama jugi gula zowa de boringe mema jone la zowa de dejen dorgi jombe zenga dun yondon yonjen yegi yeje gen de wa jebe go doji jera nazo zozo nama lozo jogula zowa de boringe mema jone la zowa de Mijen den bezin gam do je jimbo jo we jo na janga la gam do berge don do je te ka ma jo da da dan zong ge na ma do be go la zo wa de urgen be ma jo ne la zo wa de kun don do zang ge ra je be ma ge ra na jo jo na ro don da zo ka do la ma dan la zo wa de Zende zerbe jode drone dan dojo rondo don be toria dan don be dozonge gode goze rondo chen baba be me oso shat la so ba de seje gunjen do la je do dre me oso ngende dozo oso donje namge namjo ba je me limbe shat la so ba de dozon gunge be ma je ne gi zedo do go gozo gulo Senge lenge junde jun kunzon sheben la so wa de o men joge genge bodanga duzo zonge goje guru nge renzen gugu kunzo zebe zoe la me nam la so wa de ri ro men joge yogi bodanga duzo zonge goje guru nge renzen gugu guzu duze ba zoe la me je la so wa de yo wa kundu yanda la ma da du me joge ba Jordan Sata Lanje one zone doji jinji go hang do so say the descent of blessings to cleanse and purify. Breathe in, release out. All impurities flow out. U rivi lele oa hanga kaka zaza da baba ma yawala shaga sa Ome dharma hitu prava hitu tagata hayo wata digansa yundoro ye vaminima samana so You should now recognize, at least have the idea, have faith that you are of purity, pure body, pure speech, pure mind. Bhadra samaya za damo Rita Ramani Bhavadaye Soha Bhadra Samaya za Om Badra Amrita Kundali Hana Ombe. Then again, I was going to do Guru Rinpoche, but again, Dhruv Narendra, to develop loving kindness and compassion, where you completely transform and transcend the ordinary to the extraordinary that is already self-existing within. I'm only saying this, and I keep going back to this again because I watched this person and seeing over the years, has there been a small change? And believe me, they have been only minute. But attributing that beginning practice every day, many times, every place, the people thought, oh, that Jerry has gone crazy. Every since he met this Tibetan master, he's changed his hair, changed his clothes, right? Or every time you see him, he's got the beads and mumbling to himself. Maybe we should send him to the doctor or something. Maybe they should have, I don't know. But I do know that I started to sense my own negativity changing, seemingly a different way of perceiving and an opening. So we summons Dhruv Narendra, come and be present. Only also to the Lama Dan, Nitso Pe Kunchen Toke Gabo Rochon Chun, Dutse Gario Midzawa, Mebe Kunam Gan Yenam Ka Baza Samaza. Sange Dodan, Zoye Jonama, Chanjo Badu, Dani Gabzuji, Daji Jinzo Gebe Zonami, Jola Benze Senge Jobajo. Sange Dodan, Zoye Jonama, Chanjo Badu, Dani Gabzuji, Daji Jinzo Gebe Zonami, Jola Benze Senge Jobajo, Sange Dodan, Zoye Jonama, Chanjo Badu, Dani Gabzuji, Daji Jinzo Gebe Zonami. Jola Benze Senge Jobajo, Sange Dodan Zogi Jonamba, Chenjo Badu Dani Gabsuji, Daji Jinzo Gebe Zonangi, Jola Benze Senge Jobajo, Za Dambo, Zojina Randa Tembagu. So I go through white toner, red toner, I already have here. Umbazama Sri Haraga, Dene Doji Turba Guru Raya, Suarva Zuto, Zarva Dama Zude, Sudoro, Tome Demde Rumboje, Ninjin, Geju, no Doma, Doro, Bonzo Zoba, Tajan Gozo, Jimbogo, Uma Ho, Ume Pate Saparida Rarba, Zatsamaza. Jatana Bata JJ de Belanata, Namo Sabata Jataba, you Mishimugube, Sabata Namogate Sapa, Ramina Kamasoha, Namo Sabata Gataba, you Mishimugube, Sabata Namogate Saparana in Kamasoha. Namo Sabata Gataba, you Mishimugube, Sabata Namogate Saparana Kamasoha. Gadana Nela Dondo, Zembo, Yugundo Rajo de Gege Lado go Lada Nane Lado no Zembo Bazenda Yugundo Rajo de Gege Lado Lada Nane Lado no Zembo Bazenda Yugundo Rajo de Gege Lado so Pune Pate Gari Gasa No Baza Mahazri Haragamo, Dene Doji Turva Guju, Ze Ram Yam Suarva Zudo Zarva Dama Zuade Zudo, Tome them they Rumbo J, Ninji Gage, London, Torma Godo, Turva, Gazo Jembogo, Oma Zarabutaraga Zaraza, Saba Bengene, Namo Saba Dadaga, Dabayo Meji Mugube, Saba Nogate Sapa, Ranam Irinam, Gurehana, Iram Balinda,
Yes, Saba Megane, Namo Saba Dataka, the Biomishu Mugude, Saba Nogate Saparana, Iram, Grihana, Iram Balinda, yes, Saba Megane, Namo Saba Dataka, the Biomishu Mugude, Saba Nogate Saparana, Iram, Grihana, Grihana, Iram Balinda, yes, Sinjin Sanji, Jovadan, Jovagundan, Duba Guji, Dungandan, Dugegi, Gundan Duba Guji, Dunge Maybe, Dumba, Dumbada, Midwa Guji, Nirin Dundan, Devanin, Pemela Nema Guji, Sinjin Sanji, Jovadan, Jovagundan, Duba Guji, Dungandan, Dugegi, Gundan Duba Guji, Dunge Maybe, Dumba, Dumbada, Midwa Guji, Nirin Dundan, Devanan, Zebemela Nema Guji. Senjamde Jovadan, Devagunda, Duvaguji, Durganda, Durgegi, Gunda, Duvaguji, Dunge Mebe, Dumba, Dumbanda, Medewaguji, Mirindanda, Devan and Zebe Mela, Namba Guji. Tadon, Jose, Jovadan, Jeje, Gunje, Sowai. Goa, Jeje, Doje, Jeje, Juba, Chanje, Jigo. So now, of all the most precious things you could offer your ego, offer your self-cherishing, your self-centeredness, your importance, offer your confusion, offer your doubt, offer your skepticism, offer your ignorance and your desire and your anger and all the other cascading defilements that arise from the three. Sashi Poji, Georgia Major Drum, River Nuzene, Zembagi, Zangisenda Meta Buwayi, Dongam Nuzenda Jubajo, Idan and the Mandrila Canada, Tayo, Sashi Poji, Georgia Major Drum, River Nuzene, Zembagi, Sangizenda Meta Buwayi, Dongam Jubajo, Idan and the Mandrila Canada, Tayo, Sashi Poji, Georgia Major Drum, River Nuzene, Zembagi, Sangizenda Meta Buwayi, Dongam Jubajo. Idam Guru Ratna Mandala give away, give away, give away. Badruzata Samaya, Manopalaya, Badruzata Denova, Dedu Nabua, Dudogaya Nabua, Dudogaya Nabua, Amarado Nabua, Zava City, Medraya, Zaragama Zutune, Zetum Zetum Guru, Bhagavan, Dawata, Zaduna Nimuzo, and the Bhavana, Samaya. Madhuzadu Samaya, Manubadaya, Badruzadu Denova, Dedu Nabua, Dudogaya Nabua, Dudogaya Nabua. Amarado Nabua, Zava City, Medraya, Zaragama Zutune, Zetum Guru, Bhagavan, Dawata, Zaduna Nimuzo, and the Bhavana, Samaya, Sapu, Badra Samaya, Sri Gonje Meje Gondola Doje Doje Jenje Dola Zeduna Sangala Sowade Jena Dawe Donye Jenju Baba Doren Dra Dirge Donye Donye Ati bro, Drati Saho. Om Badra Argam Badam Dupe Aloge Gande Nevade Shapta Ruta Shapta Gande Raja Sheba She Dhamma Tata Putsa Kaye Romani Beme Omani Beme Omani Beme Omani Beme Lomani Beme Omri Omani Beme Omri Omani Beme Omri Omani Beme Omri Somani Beme Omri Omani Beme Omri Omani Beme Omri Omani Beme Omri. Again, going back to this
maybe a confluence or convergent of harmonics. Is though our own physicality, for lack of a better word, is oscillating at a certain frequency in a spatial temporal context. And then we are intoning another frequency we're setting in place. Like some people, I used to know, you'll see some people, I don't feel good. And they'll rock back and forth, and the sound reflects how they're feeling. And someone says, just be still, stop, take a deep breath. Change the frequency, change the station. We are changing the station. A line from your heart, the lotus, then the sun and the moon, and the Shri and the mantra, again, and the sound is radiating out for the benefit of all sentient beings, loving kindness and compassion in the totality of its essence. Zomane beme ongwe a I u rivi lele oa nga kaka ganga zaza zazanya da baba baba yawa lawa shaka sange sa bada zada samaya manufala ya badu zada denova dedu magowa guduga ya magowa anagadu magowa Jawa City, Mebria, the Zarama Zuzame, the Guru, Haha, Bagawa, Sarada Gaduna, Nimusogan, the Gawana, Samaya, Sabua, Home Dana, Hitagara, Yudutagatayo, Wasitakinsa, Yundurova, Evanima, Samana, So again, as I was, chanting, and then I think, oh, I send the light out. Light is going out in 10 directions. And then when you connect, it's like I was thinking, how could you not feel peaceful? How could you not feel happy? How could you not smile inside, at least for a moment, when you feel the compassionate, loving kindness nature coursing through every cell, every molecule, every atom, because it is the essence of you as the deity, the essence of us as the deity. Enter into the make-believe, suspend disbelief, and become. So now Drupne Rangos is making a request. So Drupne Random makes this request, and that request goes. So do nenge do ni heje ni pa jen den gun jon jo wa me go ji jue da jen je ke ngan ju ba ta nenge ngen jo do be ra je be ngen jo ba dan do be ren zo ge ron je go na no ba me go ji no bo jen re don ga ge jon don ro bo ro don ge do je da Sange se je la zo ba yi lu jenge la zo wa ne go ji lu zun do wa ma lo tu je pe jen jen du be je je ba na lu jen jen dum do den ba da de re ne ne du ge je ba zo na ma gun ju je na gan do 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 ne ne do na do wa me be den do ge na wa do May all the diseases that disturb the minds of sentient beings and which results from karma and incidental conditions, such as the harms of demons, illnesses, and elemental spirits, never occur throughout the realms of this world. May the suffering due to life-threatening diseases, which like a butcher leading an animal to the slaughter, severs the body from the mind in a mere instant, never occur throughout the realms of this world. May all embodied beings remain unharmed by acute and chronic infectious diseases, the mere name of which can inspire the same terror as would be felt in the jaws of Yama, Lord of Death. May the 80,000 classes of obstructing spirits, the 360 evil spirits that create sudden harm, the 424 types of diseases, and so forth, never cause harm to any embodied being. May whatever suffering arise due to disturbances in the four elements, depriving the body and mind of every pleasure, be totally pacified, and may the body and mind have radiance and power, and be endowed with long life, good health, and well-being. By the compassion of the gurus and the three jewels, the power of the dakinis, dharma protectors, and guardians, and the power of truth of the infallibility of karma and its results, may these many dedications and prayers be fulfilled this very instant. Badruzata Samaya, Manupalaya, Badruzata Denoba, Deduredo Mebua, Zudogaya Mebua, Zudogaya Mebua, Anaratu Mebua, Zawasili Mepriata, Zalakama Zudume, Sidum Sidum Guru Home, Dada 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 Vadrona Nemazore, Lipola Maha, So, as you just said, you made a request. The dakinis, the dakas, the guardians, the dhammapalas, the protectors, to watch over and fulfill your commitment. So then we'll do short Mahakala, please. In this case now, Mahakala will be the chief who is instructing the protectors. So we call upon the powers of Mahakala first. Badra Samaya Za. Benza Mahakala Gengi Begine Banayaga Home Bebe Soha. Benza Mahakala Gengi Begine Banayaga Home Bebe Soha. Benza Mahakala Gengi Begine Banayaga Home Bebe Soha. Benza Mahakala Gengi Begine Banayaga Bebe Soha. Stone Benza Mahakala Gengi Begine Banayaga Bebe Soha. Zoom Benza Mahakala Gengi Begine Banayaga Home Bebe Soha. Benza Mahakala Gengi Begine Banayaga Zombie the Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, home, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago. Benza Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago. Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby. Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so Benza Magala Gang to the Begane, Banayago, baby, so So again, the thought comes is when good things, another line I heard, sometimes we only dwell on the negative, just negative. We go say, why are you always so negative? I'm not being negative. Okay, okay. But why are you so negative? You so negative, you negate all of the good things that are happening in your life. So again, I want to pause at this moment. I want you to reflect on at least one blessing, one wonderful thing that's happening in your life. Take a moment. For me, I'm fulfilling my dream. I worked for a place called AS Addiction Service Agency, ASA. I'll tell you the story. Maybe tomorrow you ask me, I'll tell you, how am I living a dream, fulfilling a prophecy that came to me, that I myself revealed and created, did not know that I would live to be. At least one good thing. And today, when you find yourself being negative, go back to that blessing, that one good thing, or maybe two or three that you can define that is happening to you, that is happening to me. Now, you still druk narandro, and you say to Mahakala, Mahakala, please summon the rest of those guys. Bring your buddies. Igisati, Rahula, then Doji Lekba, Surmapo, all of them, please, you come here now. You have some work to do. And they go, are you going to feed us? And I go, yeah, I made food for you. Don't worry. We said, you do your job, I'll take care of you. You know, little Brooklyn. Anyway, I got to stop because then I'll go a little bit nuts. So now Dhammapalas, so remember I told you, don't take too serious. You got to find the humor. You have to laugh at the absurdity of the life. You don't want to die with a frown on your face, do you? I don't. I want to laugh. They're burning the body and I want to be laughing. So you have to say, oh, let me see, let me get the right ones here. Hold on just a moment. I have to go to my other book. Too many books. Oh, there it is. Okay. Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be, Namo Guru Be. You do like this. Then we call Om Shri Binza Haraka Rube Rube Om Jo Om Be. Dene Dajen, Doji Ramyangam, Doji Doji, Genyon Joju to Damse Ye Yeme Doji, Meje Namge Doji Guru Ramyangam, Oma Hom, Oma Hom, Oma Hom. Sri was a
Badruzadu Denova, Dedu Nabova, Zudo Kaya Nabova, Zudo Kaya Nabova, Amarado Nabova, Zawa City, Nebrea, Sarakama Zutane, Sedum Sedum Guru Hum, Bhagavan, Zawada Dogado Badruna, and the Sawa Mahasamaya, Zadua, Badruzadu Samaya, Manu Palaya, Badruzadu Denova, Dedu Nabova, Nabova, Zubagaya Nabova, Anarado Nabova, Zawa City, Nebrea, Guru Hum. Bhagavan, Zavadada, Badru Nani Muzo, Nende Bava Ma, Samaya, Zadua, Badru Zadu, Samaya, Manu Palaya, Badru Zadu, Nanova, Dudu Nabova, Sudogaya Nabova, Zubogaya Nabova, Anaradu Nabova, Zava City, Medrea, Zaragama Zutane, Sedum Guru Hum, Bhagavan. Saradada, Badru Nani Muzo, Nende Bava Ma, Samaya, Satu. Again, Yuji Nanzan, Mageza, Dombola, Yazin, Joji, Godrune, Pemajune, Zazudrago, Gando, Mamboga, Gegeza, Zodadrigi, Zazo, Guru, Bamazide, again, Yuji Nanzan, Mageza, Dombola, Yazin, Joji, Godrune, Pemajune, Zazudrago, Gando, Mamboga, Gegeza, Zodadrigi. Guru Bama Sede Hong again Yuji Nansanza Bema Geza Don Pola Jazen Joji Godune Bema June Zudra Gudu Gando Mamboga Gegi Zezuda Drugi Jinji Loje Zezuzo Guru Bema Sede Hong Sri Nawadanye Dungunje Jodun Dumbe Migundu Laje Medu Sadren Wangendo Webojeza, Emajuna Zendo Gewaga, Tatunga Bozo Daluane, so what Absorganje Bajezo, Chinje Lazenje Menedo, so Uma Marini Zovadaye Guru, the Matoria Bunajana, and yet city, Mama Renizo Vatari Guru Bama Surya Punjuna Jana Anya Siti Om Mama Renizo Vatari Guru Bama Surya Punjuna Jana Anya Siti Om Baduzata Mama Yamana Baduzaru Nanova Didu Nagova Sudogaya Nagova Zubagaya Nagova Naradu Nagova Sedum Guru Bhagavan Samaya Satu Uma Joji Nini Lunge Junrezen Doge Bema Jini Dunzo Sova Dozo Doje Jin Yela Jini Zangwa Baji Yinjozo Doge Nini Dova Doge Je Kere Renza Medo Nijogi Million Jungwe Lala Sova De Gergen Minion Sova Jije Do Sola Jele Lada Da Geso 두두둥게 고르는 도제 고르는데 오정보자 바디군도 도도도도가 노가도서 진제라도서 지난자we 바디죠나 삼바루게 조바 진제도 두두둥게 고르는 도제 고르는데 오정보자 바디군도 도도도보자 조바도서 진제라도서 지난자we 바디죠나 삼바루게 조바 진제도 두두둥게 고르는 도제 고르는데 오정보자 바디군도 도도도보자 조바도서 진제라도서 지난자we 바디죠나 삼바루게 조바 진제도 두두둥게 고르는 도제 고르는데 So I just want to do this prayer. May you all have long life. May you have blessed life. May you have happy life. May all that you wish come to pass. May all your dreams be fulfilled.
If you don't have a long and healthy and happy life, then how can you realize and truly be a benefit to others? If we're all weighed down by the rocks that we carry and create ourselves, then how can we rise up and inspire others to put down their rocks and to see the blessings in the midst of seemingly what is a disadvantage, that we have the eyes and the perception to bring out and grow the advantage. There's many advantages, many blessings, many wonderful things that have happened. So I just ask the prayers. May all your wishes be fulfilled. May you receive the blessings. May you be liberated from the darkness from within, etc. Like this. And so now, please, you make prayer to Guru Rinpoche, the embodiment of everything. Suma Mada Guru Bama Zede, Badu Zadu Zamaya, Manobaya, Badu Zadu Denova, Dedu Nabua, Zurugaya Nabua, Zurugaya Nabua, Amara Nabua, Zawazidi Nebria, Zarega Mudune, didn't Guru Sada Dada Germany Mudul and the Bavana, Samaya, Sabu. Just take a breath in, rest for a moment. Then, as we begin, now you should check. How is my body? How is my mind? How is my speech? How are my thoughts? Did I allow for an opening, a transformation, a transcendence, a blossoming? Through what? Through the faith by attraction, the faith generated by desire, the faith generated out of conviction. Thus, faith is like a seed for growing all the virtues of auspicious dharma. And the absence of faith is like a seed that is burnt by fire. Then in the sutras it says, if a person who have no faith, then inauspicious dharma, it says white dharma, will not appear. So the auspiciousness and the blessings, no matter how much you practice, without this faith inwardly, then nothing will appear. Just as a seed that are burnt by fire bring forth no green blades. Infertile ground and a fertile seed, or infertile seed in a fertile ground, nothing will appear. Likewise, faith is chief among the 7 wealths of the Aryas. It is said, the precious wheel of faith sets one day and night on the meritorious or auspicious path. As it is said, faith is the best of all the wealths. Similarly, it is a treasure store, for it is a source of inexhaustible virtues. It is the feet that takes one along the path of freedom. So you must walk the path of freedom with faith in your heart. that you know where you're going, that has arisen from your own study, contemplation, meditation, investigation, integration. It is like a pair of hands, for it gathers all the virtues of the Dharma to one's mind. It is said, faith is the best of wealth, treasure, stores, and feet, meaning to travel. Analogous to a pair of hands, it is the principal means for gathering merit. Although the three jewels have an inconceivable amount of mercy and blessings, the entry of their mercy and blessings is coming by one's mind from faith. Hence, if one has the best faith and devotion, one will receive the best mercy and blessings from the Guru and the three jewels. Like one, if one's faith and devotions are mediocre, the mercy and blessings received will also be mediocre. If one's faith and devotion is of the lowest quality, the merit and blessings received will be of the same or little. If faith and devotion are fundamentally absent, no mercy and blessings will be received at all. If one has no faith, no benefit can be derived. Even if the Buddha is personally met and followed, then Devadatta, Buddha's cousin, had spent his whole life with the Buddha and had no faith and therefore received none of the great blessings of the master. This is like the story related earlier when it's talking about one great monk, like Bakarama, the monk, and also, as I mentioned, of Devadatta. If faith and devotion are present in the core of one's heart, even now the Buddha will appear in front of you and give blessings to one who offers prayers. The Buddha's mercy has no partiality. And then it goes on and on. So I want to stop there when a little bit too long. Take a breath in now, breathing out, and rest. Ah, ah, ah. Om. Be in the presence of your own divine essence without contrivance of conceptuality, fabrication, clinging, altering, changing, fixating, grasping. Let go, let be, recognize, recognize, recognize. May our minds and hearts be joined together in union, in the unity of the great expanse of the heart drop essence. A unity, a unity, a union of loving kindness and compassion. Time and space is relative. There is no distance in the moment we invoke the thought of the other. Rest your mind in the ever-presence, the divine essence that reveals itself this very moment. Recognize.
As you breathe out, you do not stray from your recognition, but your recognition is not one of conceptuality. Can you not feel in your bones, in your muscles, in the coursing of your own blood, your own life force, that perhaps in some small way, some transformation, some transcendence, some releasing from the ordinariness of the constructs at play? As we said, there is no peace or happiness other than that which you brought into your meditation room today. As you go about the rest of the day, please engage in some activity that will bring about and promote an enlightened human being, an enlightened household, community, society, envision a whole planet where everyone, to a greater degree, cared about someone else other than themselves and looked beyond their own difficulty at others that they may be able to bring happiness and health to. So we still have about 3 minutes left, I think. Not even, oh, maybe I've gone too far. Narrator, my attendant, where am I? I still have more time?
No, we like half an hour over.
Oh, so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you have many, many things to do. So I will say, may this be a pleasant day. May it be a peaceful day. May it be a day of transformation. May it be a day of transcendence. And that you honor the divine essence of your life force, not just in you, but in everything you see. When you go for a walk today and you see the clouds in the sky and you feel the breeze blow upon you and you see the flowers and all their color and their fragrance, that you will recognize, I am not separate. We are one and the same. And you will know in this moment, in my heart, in my mind, in my spirit, I'm free. Have a peaceful day, everyone. Bye-bye. Let me just go. You all blessed. Have a wonderful afternoon. Bye-bye.
Thank
Go
you.
Zoom someplace else.
Thank you.